Damn these Biloxi blues, it happens every night.
Every night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Nope.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
No.
I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the hook right here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Budget live, not so live from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And I hope all you low lifers are doing well out there. This is the podcast for Monday, May. Yes, you heard me correctly. May the 1st, and this is your first warning. Actually, it needs to be this. You only got a couple weekends till Mother's Day. The Triple Threat reminded me of that this weekend. Get your mama something. Get your wife something. Make sure you got it. You only got a couple weekends, okay? I know this is a primarily, there's a little bit of a mixed crowd that listens to it, but it's a lot of dudes. Be prepared, okay? You don't say I didn't warn you. I try to help y'all out because not to make the same mistakes that I've made so many times in my life. But we have clicked through another month, and here we are. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. Got a good one today, man. Got a good one. I'm been looking forward to this one for a while. Conversation that we're going to have. Got to start this day by saying a huge shout out and a huge thank you to Cameron Blair. Cameron, I mentioned him last week, but came out, finished my deck. That's been a disaster. Y'all know we got a lot of home issues around here right now, and had a guy just leave me stranded for a long time that I'd paid a lot of money, and I gave him the boot. Cameron posted on Instagram, Facebook. Cameron slid in the DMs, and dude, he did fantastic work. So Cameron, me and him are we fixing to get out on the lake and catch some after all the good work he did around here. That's for sure. Good dude. And by the way, gave him an LOB jig this week before I left to go out of town. And his first bite on it was like an 8-pounder, and he tried to boat flip and lost it and broke his line. I got that text during a club tournament his on Pickwick. So that was pretty cool. Not for him, it's pretty cool to me. For me, like I gave him, I'm like, here you go, man, try this, and lost a giant. So shout out to Cameron. All right, I gotta tell y'all a quick one. So Triple Threat and I got invited through TH Marine to go to this conference, this conference, and it's, you know, a lot of CEOs and presidents from boat companies, and TH Marine, my man Jeff Huntley was gracious enough to invite me. But dude, it was at the nicest place I've ever been. Okay, I was out of my element. You never know, when you're a redneck, such as myself and a lowlifer, and you're walking around trying to pretend that you, a little bit more highbrow than you actually are. I just kept waiting on somebody to hand me a damn weed eater the entire time. But Sea Island, Georgia, very cool. Got to go there. It was a work deal. I didn't get to like rest and relax or anything. Had meetings basically the entire time we were there, but the Triple Threat got to hang out and make some new friends there, and it was good, man. Heard a lot of cool speakers, but they had the G8 Summit at this place back when George W. Bush was in office, and I got to see the room where it happened. They had this custom-built table, and the crazy thing is to see how the world has kind of turned over on its head since then so many times, really. Like Vladimir Putin was at this place that I was at for that G8 summit. And now they had all the flags represented there and they had the plaques on, but they've like taken all of his stuff down. It's really crazy. But yeah, just me trying to mingle with a lot of really good people in the marine industry from boat companies, and a lot that I knew, some that I didn't, but definitely a little bit out of place. I'm like, okay, I might not be dressed for that. I might need to shave my back for this place, but certainly a good time. Thanks to TH Marine for inviting me to that. Jeff Huntley had a great time. All right, we'll get these sponsors out of the way, and then we're going to jump in. StarTron, kicking ethanol in the teeth, in your chainsaw, in your weed eater, in your outboard engine. But today, for me here, back at the house after about 8 or 9 weeks of just pretty much traveling more than I haven't been. I'm about to be on a couple week stretch here at home, and the honeydews are stacking up. And I bought a new pressure washer, and I tell you this in this ad read to say huge letters right on the top of this. It's a Honda motor, huge letters, no more than 10% ethanol. I mean, just screaming at you. And I've already, like, the second I put gas in it, I'm like, bloop, StarTron. Right there, brand new. Protect your investment. Kick ethanol in the teeth in everything you own. If you're running gas, you don't have to run ethanol free. It's expensive. Gas is already $3 and whatever a gallon around here. A little dab will do you. StarTron, kicking ethanol in the teeth and bringing you low budget live for going on 6 years now. Pro Guide Batteries, ProGuideBatteries.com. Go check out those new lithiums. I'm using the trolling motor batteries. They have new cranking batteries powered by lithium as well that meet all standards. Very cool. I've got one I'm testing right now. Excellent battery. Go check them out. You can use code LBL10 at ProGuideBatteries.com, LBL10, to save you some cash and let them know you are the lowest of the low-lifers. Baitworks.com. I'm seeing y'all out there. I see y'all. I get emails every time one of you low-lifers uses code Duncan-10 at bait-works.com, and y'all are using it a lot. You're buying LOB jigs. We got them in 7 colors now. It's got the Low Budget Live logo on the package. Go check them out. It's time, man. It's time all over the country. You can get bid on it. I have been told, I have not used it for this yet, just because I've not been on the water near enough, that it is a really, and I hate to even tell this, to be honest, but it is a bed fishing absolute killer. That's what I'm being told by some very good bed fishermen that have worked this into their rotation, and it catches bigs. So actually had a almost 30-pound stringer caught on the LOB the other day. I got pictures sent to me. So very cool stuff going on. Get you an LOB, get you some little trailers, whatever kind of little trailer you want, put on there. But huge mega bass selection also there at Baitworks. You name it, we're headed into, believe it or not, it's May now. It's gonna be May everywhere. And yeah, you got fish spawning in some parts of the country, but start thinking offshore. They got it. They got them shuttlecock hair jigs. They got swim baits. They got big plugs. They got it all. Football jigs, mag shakies, bait-works.com, Duncan-10. Thank y'all. And last but not least, I hit a little microphone wire right there. Last but not least, hang the banner. The Bassmaster Classic winning first ever, by the way. Bassmaster Classic won in an aluminum bass boat. The Express X21 Pro, all welded, high performance, whole shotinest bass boat in the game. 21 feet of fury, 96-inch beam, 250 Yamaha show hanging on the back, C deck covering that bad boy, more tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. Absolutely love mine. I actually got to fish out of mine. Express sponsored, and this is kind of perfect segue. They sponsor, and I did it last year, and I talked about it last week as well, the Arkansas Game and Fish Foundation's Commissioner Cup. It's a high school tournament. Express is the title sponsor. I got to MC that again for year 2 here. It's their 5th year, but the 2nd year for me being involved. Awesome event. Can't thank those folks enough. But Express, dude, they get it. And I say it all the time. I say it again. They're like family. When you buy a boat, they treat you as such. Fantastic lineup. Don't get just hung up on the X21 or X19. They have a lot of options out there. If you're into bay boats, they have the best bay boat in the industry. Go check them out, expressboats.com. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. But yeah, their involvement in this high school fishing program, and they've got big ideas. They really want to try to assist with that. And man, what can I say about that event except for just wow. It really, I needed it, to be honest. And it was the same thing last year. It's just refreshing to see those kids and their passion, man, and to talk to them and to get to interview them and hear what their how they approach a tournament, and some of them kind of spit back what they hear from their favorite pros, and it's funny, they're a lot of them are already polished and getting their deal down, and some of them are walking around with their GoPros doing YouTube stuff already, and it's really cool to see that movement. But this Arkansas Game and Fish Foundation, got to thank Deke Whitbeck, Tyler Lawrence, class acts, many more people that I'm leaving out there, but Mandy from Trader Bill's, great people, man. Great people out there in Arkansas. And I got to see some old friends, make some new friends. But seeing these kids, man, I'm telling you, they give away, it's an entry fee free event. Lou's donated a lot of tackle for these folks. And it was awesome, man. I got to speak at the pre-tournament meeting again this year and then help with the festivities there. And they had a nasty old day on Lake Hamilton. But Dalton and Dakota Reed pulled it off, 18 pounds, dude. Big old bag of fish. And it gives me chills thinking about this. They told me when they weighed in, they came in early because they thought they had almost 7-pounder, and biggest bass that Dakota had ever caught. And they told me after they weighed in, I was giving them a hard time. I was doing interviews after they came off the stage, and then I did the awards presentation there. Tyler and I did, and they said it's the biggest stringer. They've never caught a double-digit stringer. And they won a $3,000 scholarship. And I got to see their mom when they weighed in. It reminded me of my mom just being there. It was really cool. And their dad, of course, their boat captain. And they're fishing out of a Triton aluminum boat and dragging a Carolina rig, just old school. Very cool to see, man. But watching the emotion of these kids once they weighed in and going through it, and it became very evident that $3,000 scholarship meant so much to them. And Dakota's a senior, and fishing with his little brother who's a sophomore. Cool kids, man. Cool kids. And they end up winning, and I got to be on stage giving them the trophy. There were tears I don't think there was a dry in the house when they started talking about fishing together and telling their story. And this is their last year to get to fish together before Dakota graduates there. And very cool, very cool. So gave me hope, man. Gave me some. And I know there's a ton of high school kids, but I think sometimes I've talked about on the show, it's like the travel sports thing. There's a lot of mom and dads throwing a lot of money at it. You see kids from all walks of life in it. I saw Swindle post a video about that, and we talked about it on the podcast. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to college, man. You don't necessarily have to have $1 million bass boat to go do this. Forget what people on the internet say about live scope, positive or negative. Forget what they say about having to have a 250 or having to have an Express X21 Pro. Just go fishing. It's great. It's so much fun being on the water, learning as you go, man. And it just, everything was right about this tournament for the second year in a row, and proud to be a part of it. But seeing those kids they got a junior division, dude. They're chopping it up. The little guy, it's really cool event. So thankful to be a part of it, and congrats to those guys again. Dakota's actually, I met him last year, and he's a low lifer. Listens to the podcast, and it was really funny. I used to do the Sims ad read. You get one live fish at whale. He used that. He heard that on the show, and he used that as his senior quote in his yearbook. He heard right here on LBO, man. So congrats to those boys. Very cool being a part of it, and special moment for sure. Not a bad day to catch the biggest stringer of bass you've ever caught either, right? Not a bad day. And the story of how it all went down was very, very cool day. Want to say quick congrats, and I've been running all over the world. I did not get to watch this tournament, either major tournament that went on this week, near enough. Luke Palmer, is one of the good guys in life. Don't know him that well, but he is, you can see, I always say this, you can judge it by the social media post about someone when they win. He takes Santee Cooper there in the elites. Congrats to Luke Palmer. He was very close last year. He's a genuine dude, hard-working dude, and that was a break that I feel like he probably needed in the fishing world. It's cool to see. So congrats to Luke Palmer on that. You got Brandon Cobb having an amazing event there. Drew Cook. You got Mark Menendez in the mix, dude. It's always cool seeing Mark. Mark's always been one of my favorite veteran pros that he won here on my home lake one time when I was a kid. So cool to see. But Drew Cook third after winning there last year. Man, it was a lot of haves and have-nots, as Santee Cooper seems to be, just looking at the weights and seeing some of the clips and things. But Brandon Cobb leaves AOY leader, Drew Cook in second, Tyler Rivette and Carl Jacobson in fourth, the Aussie, oi, 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 and then Kyle Welcher. So listen to that top five. Dude, that's refreshing. Some young guns. I love it. I love it. No offense to them old dudes, because you got them old dudes like Mike Iconelli, and I guess John Cox. Cox Watch, he's right outside the top five right now in AOY as well. That old John Cox. They turn right around and fish Lay Lake. I think they got a week break, and let's just get all the tournaments in. Why not just fish them all right now? Let's just get them all over with. That way, in about July, we're all like, remember bass fishing? That's the only thing I hate. We cram everything in. The spring's great, obviously, but we take these like weird couple month gaps in the schedules of all leagues, and then I feel like we're just jamming in there. We're just jamming in there. But congrats to those folks on a great tournament. My buddy, little Alton Jones Jr. What can you say, man? What can you say? Got his second dub there with the Oil Bass Pro Tour. Heavy hitters, which I think has become it's a fixture. It's such a cool event. And I said that from year one, the idea behind it, the concept, it is a fantastic fishing tournament, big money on the line. It's really cool. You're never out of it. Ask Brian Thrift. He caught one bass all day long and won $100,000 in the final round. They give away $25,000 for each of the first two qualifying rounds, Group A, Group B, then $50,000 in the knockout round. Dakota Ebear. Dakota won a $25,000. I forget who won the $50,000 check. Dadgummit, who won that? Justin Lucas. I think Justin Lucas won that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm lying. I don't remember. Somebody won it. I forget. I saw who won. I know Dakota got a big check. I know Justin Lucas got a big check. Brian Thrift, I'm missing one. I don't know who won it in the third round, the knockout round. And maybe I'm just completely off base. But anyways, very cool event. And that place sucked. There were some big ones, but I blame Justin Martin. I think he sore-mouthed them all down there outside of Monroe. But it's got giants, man, but it was stingy. I watched a little bit of it early in the week, but congrats to AJ on that for sure. Very cool event. And to Brian Thrift, 100K as well. He's having a terrible year, huh? Whew, Lord. He's going to be able to fix all that. He had the same plumbing issue I had, destroy his entire house. They left to go somewhere, and it flooded the entire house instead of just they didn't catch it in time. And I can only imagine what that mess is like. So Thrifty can certainly add to his insurance claim. he can get him some new countertops that the insurance wouldn't cover maybe now with all that money. All right, we're going to jump into this. Shoot our guest a text. Going old school. This man has won $1.2 million in a very short career, very young career. To me, I keep up with what I feel like everybody in the sport. I've watched this guy come up through the ranks. He is never afraid to speak his mind. He is very charismatic. His YouTube channel, I don't watch a ton of fishing YouTube channels. I just don't, full disclosure. His YouTube channel is one of my favorites. I feel like he gives a lot of goods away. I feel like he's very entertaining. I feel like he is a bright spot and has been in this sport for a long time. He had 3 wins last year alone on the Bass Pro Tour. Incredible. He has won at all levels of bass fishing, we're going to get the sauce from him presented by the W Sauce America's Worcestershire sauce. And don't forget their new, dude, just this right here, the breakfast sauce. I may get divorced over this. I just stand in the kitchen and drink. I'm serious. Marissa's like, please stop. Just make eggs all the time, over and over and over. I've ate it on hash browns. It's not just for breakfast. I'll just tell you, but it's fan-freaking-tastic. Breakfast sauce coming soon from the folks at the W Sauce. We're going to get it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the Ding Squad, I don't know what they call it, the Ding crew. We'll get the official terminology. The Dingers. I'm going to call him the Dinger. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if we can get him on the phone right now. He said no Zoom. He said no Zoom. He didn't want to upstage me. Ladies and gentlemen, Dustin Connell.
What's going on?
DC on LBL. That's a lot of letters, buddy, but I'm proud it's finally happening. What's up, dude?
That's what's going on.
That's what's
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. You know, I said you're part of the in my intro, beautiful intro. I'm saying, be sure you go back and listen. It was great. It was well thought out. I wrote it. But I said you're part of the. What do y'all call yourselves? Are the Ding crew? The Ding?
I don't know.
Do y'all call? Because the Ding thing's kind of. I feel like y'all slowed down with the dinging in the last couple years a little bit.
I don't know. I'll say this. So, Dave Mercer called us Money Inc. one time, and I was like, "Well, we can't say that because I'm broke." And then you know, some people called us the Ding Squad. I don't know. I don't know. Hell, just call us the MLFers.
The MLFers. Well, there's 80 of y'all. We can't just say MLFers because it's that y'all are, dude. And this is what I was saying in the intro. Y'all are. I mean, it's Wheeler, you, Adrian, and Mark. Y'all are a tight knit group, man. Y'all are kicking out content all the time. Y'all are working your butts off on and off the water, catching them all the time. But it's entertaining, man. Like, y'all bring the fun back to it. Y'all kind of let your guard down. Like the silly bets y'all got going. Y'all out there rocking mullet wigs and wearing pants back, like flip-flops on the wrong. All this stuff that y'all get into. Like, dude, it's good. Like, it's good. And y'all got a following that, I mean, I watch them in the comment. They love it, dude. And it's so refreshing to see because I think sometimes we just take it too serious, and y'all are serious as it gets on the water. I know how y'all roll once you get out there, but it's just good to see, dude.
Yeah. You know, I sit here and I think all the time, and like, I've said this many, many times. If I want to see a 10-pounder, I can click on YouTube and be like, 10-pound bass, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that have caught 10-pounders and filmed them. And it's just like kind of monotonous, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. And like, now, don't get me wrong, whenever I'm out there on the water, and we're all out there on the water, it's strictly business, and we're out there fishing nonstop. And I mean, I take it as serious as anything. No doubt. Man, dude, I get to go out there and go fish for a living, and like people, they want to be entertained. They want to have fun. They want to see real stuff. They want to see. I mean, believe it or not, they want to see you cuss every now and then.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to know the realities of everyday fishing and traveling and like going by gas stations and, you know what I mean? They want to see that. They want to get inside and inside the truck with you. And we try to do that. And I really enjoy it.
Well, man, I think that I think it's important too, and I think that's what I try to do on this show too, is tell folks the realities of professional bass fishing. A lot of times, not necessarily be like, oh, it's too hard, you shouldn't do it. But I think that giving that insight is, hey, man, it ain't always bubbles and butterflies. It's not.
Oh my God,
it's not, and it's not glamorous. You stay in bad places sometimes. You have to go when they say go, when the weather's bad in practice. Like, you always get thrown curves. The travel's long. I mean, there's a lot to it, and I think it's great, man. And there are so many folks. Brandon Pollinet does a great job of that on YouTube, showing, hey, this is how it is. Like, it's not always roses, and I think that's it's so important, especially because I think y'all reach a a younger demographic a lot of times. I see that, and that's the youth, man. Y'all have got a big youth following, high school and college anglers that follow y'all. And I think that's important to just let them know, hey,
Yeah.
it ain't always going to be just roll out of bed and catch 25.
The other day we were at Heavy Hitters, the event in Louisiana, and man, there was a ton of people that showed up, and they were like, man, we love watching YouTube. We love doing this and doing that. And I've got a camera guy that travels with me. Is Brett is his name, and he, we work hard, man. We knocked out 9 videos last week, and
Jeez.
on our days off, we filmed 2 videos each day, and we did a vlog video, and it's a lot of work, but man, and what really got me, now this is a quick little story. So I'm at the weigh-in, or we don't even have a weigh-in, but I'm at
y'all weighing them in the boat,
ramp,
DC.
we're loading the boat up, but there was a small group of people over there, and they were wanting to say hey, and there was a couple. There was a lady, and they had their daughter there, and she was, I don't know, 2 years old or whatever. But anyway, they were there, and she rolled up, and she had a card, and she had a pack of Reese's Big Cups. And I had just filmed a video, like a vlog video, talking about, hey, man, I love eating Reese's. They had watched that video. They drove 2.5 hours to come see us, and she gave me a card, and I read the card, and it was just saying, hey, it means a lot to us, filming, and we love watching it. It's a way for them to get in there and, like, watch something together, because you got a good combination of reality TV, I guess, and then fishing. So her husband likes it, too. And they were like, and they follow along. And I got in the truck, and I was like, dude, I told Brett, I said, this goes way beyond tournament fishing.
Yes,
I said,
it does.
This is a good thing that we do.
Yes, man.
And it's just cool to see stuff like that.
And dude, here's what's cool about it for those folks. So put yourself in their shoes. You guys are big time, top of the sport in their favorite sport, right? Professional bass fishing, and they can just roll up and talk to you. That's 100%. What separates us in this industry. Yep. And you're all approachable. After a long day on the water, you're like, hey, I'll sit here and talk to you about Reese's Big Cups all day long. I mean, that's what makes our sport so special. And I think I'm speaking for you here, but I know I'm a little older than you, but I feel like that's part of the reason you probably got into this, other than just your obsession and love for bass fishing. But you probably got to meet some of your favorite pros coming up, just like I did, that made me go, man, this is an industry I want to be in. I mean, I met them at 12 years old at Pickwick at a Bassmaster Top 100. And I'm like, hey, I'm here, man. This is where I want to live in this world.
Yeah, I remember going to the Classic at Lay Lake, and I don't know, it's like 09 or something, 10. But there was this certain, I guess you would say, like an ambiance. I don't really know what you call it, but whenever I seen Kevin, when I seen some of them guys, and you could just walk up to him and say, hey, man, can you sign my hat? I was like, holy crap. You know what I mean? You can't go and do that with LeBron. You can't do that with all these other people. And then in this industry, they load the boat up, and like, we're there to talk about fishing, and I truly enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, it goes way beyond. Man, I take this serious, like I said, but in the grand scheme of things, the bigger picture, there's always a bigger picture than just reeling in a 5-pounder. You don't know why? Because next week there'll be another tournament winner, and then the following week there'll be somebody else will win. And you can win as many tournaments as you want, and that's cool and all, but there's a bigger picture out there. If you can get more people into fishing and get more people following it, and then in return make their day a little bit better, it makes ours. It's all good.
That's the deal. Now, that being said, though, I'm sure you were okay winning 3 last year, right? You were good with that. I mean, that's
I did enjoy that. It was all. I'll say this: it was a blessing, and it was also a curse.
Yeah. Okay. Explain that. Explain that.
So I love winning 3 tournaments. I love that.
Yeah.
But you have to be very, very careful and methodical, because that's all you want to do. That's all. Like, if you finish if you finish 15th in a tournament, you're so mad that you didn't make a top 10 that your fishing style honestly kind of changes. Like you go into that kill mode. Like, okay, think of it like this. You go out free range deer hunting.
Yeah.
You go to, let's say I hunt in Illinois every year. You go up there to Illinois and you shoot a 215 free range. Then when you go back the next year, a 160 runs by and you're like, you let him walk.
Yeah.
Dude, you just let a 160 walk. Like
Yep.
something's up. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So if you put it in that kind of terms, you're like, I had a good finish this tournament, but it wasn't enough. We always strive to become better and better and better from each tournament. And when you have a top of the line season like that, it's hard to back that up. And then you're like, man, gosh, dude. And you got to have your expectations right, man. It's been a great season for me so far, but that's going to be very hard to top.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was just one of the most impressive years in pro fishing history. And for you, like what you're saying there, I get it because, dude, you won on the Elite Series really early on. I mean, right out of the gate. You won a Bassmaster Open, then you won on the Elites. Then you get 3 BPT wins against your heroes, against the cream of the crop. And I could see where you could kind of fall into that. Well, it's either winning or nothing. And I know Wheeler gets into that too, right? Knowing Jacob and then having him on here, it's that same mentality. It's that killer. I want to win every one of them. If I finish 11th, I'm pissed off. It's
100%.
It's crazy.
100%. It's that way, and it's all about expectations. People ask all the time. Like I feel like this. My expectations. I go out there and I expect to do good. If I go and I fish to try to win and I fall short and finish 12th or 15th or 20th, that's still a great tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But if my expectations are just to barely to make the cut and I try to, hey man, this would be a good tournament if I can just make the cut and I finish 67th, boom, there you go.
Yeah,
so always
yeah.
set your expectations high, and if you fall short, you still did dang good.
Yeah, man, I like that. I think that's great advice for especially the young folks out there, because you'll hear that. I mean, and I've heard Swindle say it over the years. You kind of got to decide coming out of practice. Okay, do I have an opportunity to win? Do I have an opportunity to just try to make the cut, or do I have an opportunity to leave early? And you kind of got to put it together. But I think always coming out going, hey, nothing less than a top 10 is going to be acceptable, and trying to get as close to that. I mean, it's easier said than done. Obviously, you make it look easy. Y'all all do, I feel like, at times. But do you think, and this is, of course, a joke, but do you think that because I saw this on the Facebooks, everything on Facebook's true, they're changing the format because of Connell and Wheeler, they're beating their brains out, and they won 3 tournaments. Are you to blame? Are you and Jacob to blame?
I'm gonna touch on that. That's a very good subject. So I'll tell you how this gig went. Now I'm sure you've already had people on. I listened to Joe talk about this a little bit. So, all right, we had an angler vote, and it was an overwhelming majority that voted to go to 5 fish, and I was very unbiased when I voted for that. Now, and I shot a video about this too, but I was very unbiased. And when I say that, it wasn't on a personal agenda. It was consistency
yes,
amongst the league. Like
yes.
I voted. So here's my thing. I voted no on the best on keeping your best 5. The main reason for that wasn't because I had success in all the fish counts. It was on a consistency basis on the league. So we came out, we said, hey, we're going to do the Bass Pro Tour. This is our format. Let's stick with it. So we have one I say a bad year. I don't know what the numbers were, but I hate to get political. We were in a recession. Well, everything was down. You know what I mean? So within the fishing industry, sales are down, views are down, and it was just kind of stagnant. And then boom, it's like, hey, let's just change the whole identity of the league. I wasn't for that. I was like, hey, let's look at production wise. Let's maybe change a little bit of social media content. Let's change how we produce these deals to make them more entertaining. So we all voted, and we voted to go to 5. I will say this. Whatever's best for all of the anglers, and if they're all happy, that's completely fine. And I'm happy they went to 5, actually. I'm very glad they did. Number one, because now we can relate to the weekend angler.
No
We
doubt.
can relate to the guys that fish Airport Marines in Central
Yes.
Alabama. We can all relate to that. And I like it. It makes it a lot more simple to me. Just go out there and catch 5. You know
Well,
what I mean? We ain't going to 2-pound minimum and all this other stuff. It's just catch 5.
well, and it's what you've always done, you know, and up until Bass Pro Tour, that's what everybody had always done. So I get that. And I think it's been cool because I'm like you. I was, and you know, I've been critical of BPT, MLF at times over the years. And JT Kenny and I talked about this on the show. I didn't necessarily agree with going to 5 just because it's not their deal. Every fish has been their
Exactly.
deal. And like you said, consistency matters. And I feel like whether it's BPT, NPFL, Elite Series, Toyota Series, whatever, they change constantly. There's always a
Yep.
new thing. Oh, it's a new qualifying format, or hey, we're going to do a Angler of the Year tournament. No, actually, we're not going to do that anymore. The Classic pays this. Well, actually, it doesn't pay that anymore. You know what I mean? Oh, the Opens, everything is constantly changing, and I think it's hard to keep up with for a fan. So I think consistency would help us overall as a whole in the sport. So I applauded though Boyd and them for being open-minded enough to throw a wrench into the every fish counts plan. But for me this year though, man, I've watched a lot of it. And I always have since the beginning, but I've watched a lot of it, and it's really intriguing because it's the first time all of y'all have had real-time score tracker with a 5 fish limit. And I know some people go, well, they had score tracker, they had it before, big deal. What's different about it? It is different. Like with 5, it's different. I feel like you watch guys spin out. You watch guys. I mean, look, with every fish counts, you can spin out. My goodness, look at what little Alton just did down there on that final day. Is ridiculous. I mean, he got up and got away from everybody quick. But in a 5 fish deal, I think it's cool watching folks make adjustments based on score tracker. I've enjoyed it, man, and I've heard that from a lot of people this year.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. You know, I'm out there on the water and I'm like, all right, what do I need? Oh, you got to cull the 2-pounder. You need a 4-pounder to either win or 4-pounder to make the cut or whatever. Then I can make a run. Let's say I got a bedfish that's 7 miles away that I'm like, I don't really know. And now I know what I got. And it's like, okay, here we go. I can make that run. I can be methodical, and there's a lot of strategy involved. I will say this. We're still trying to kind of work through a few small things. We have a different dynamic still than Bassmaster.
Mm-hmm.
We have Group A, Group B, Group A, Group B. It's a 6-day event.
Yeah.
The thing we were talking about the other day, and I ain't gonna kind of touch on this a lot, but there's a different dynamic there. We have a 6-day event. That means more pressure on the lake is getting involved.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
For the anglers, I wouldn't say more opportunity during the week to get exposed, but I have had several instances this year where you crack them on day 1 and it's on live, and by the end of the week, that pattern is going away because either, local guys or whoever, it's just exposed. There ain't any secrets no more. In a 4-day cumulative weight event like Bassmaster has, they're launching at daylight. We're launching an hour after daylight, an hour and a little bit after. Lines in was 8 o'clock at Heavy Hitters this past week. We're not getting that shad spawn action there. So there's several differences. But we are fishing later in the day. We're going to Guntersville coming up. I mean, imagine weighing in at 4 o'clock. I mean, you know how it is in G-Ville. When they get out, dude, it goes down in the afternoon.
That's right. Yeah, after 2 o'clock's that's when you want to show up most of the time on Pickwick, G-Ville, all of them.
So it's different, but it's still very similar.
And you don't have to. What I like is, which you guys get that morning run time deal, but you don't have to be back for a weigh-in, so you get to fish until 4 p.m. on the dot. I like that because you can focus on fishing. You don't have to focus on, well, I got to get back in this area. I'm going to stop and hit this on the way back to weigh in. Now, that's all part of strategy, and that's what we've all been used to, too. And there's a beauty to that as well because it's the same for everybody, right? For the most part. But I love that fish to the last second. It's like the Chris Lane win down at Toho. That doesn't happen. He does not win that tournament if he's got to weigh in. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like so that's because he's all the way on Kissimmee. I mean, that's the cool part about that. But no, I agree. I think that's been one of my criticisms, I guess, is they are long. They are long events. I can't imagine for you guys because you get so, just being a tournament fisherman, you get so
Dude,
keyed
I'm
up,
still
ready to
give out
go,
from this
son.
past week. I ain't gonna lie. I got home yesterday, and I mean, like I said, it's a long week. It's 10 days whenever we leave every time. It's a haul, and that may change next year. We don't really know right now, but just out of consistency, we wanted to keep it the same this year, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's talk about your road to the Bass Pro Tour, your road to the elites, to the Bass Pro Tour. And I know you've done a lot of interviews, and obviously your fans know a ton about you. But I think I had a guy, and you know him, Jimmy Mason. He told me this one time about you. When Jimmy worked at TH Marine, you were just kind of breaking through, and your name was just starting to be everywhere, whether it was an ABA or in BFLs or team stuff. Dude, you were just everywhere, and you were just fishing all over the place. And he told me, he said, I got in his truck to help him pull his boat out at some tournament y'all were at, and this was years ago. And he said he had trophies from like the last several weeks just in his backseat. He's like, they're just laying everywhere. And he said, and Luke, he said, the kid just wants to go bass fishing. And he's just damn good at it. And when I heard that, dude, it always stuck with me. And when I see you now, the YouTube stuff, and I see you doing well, I just think you're just that same kid, man. And your enthusiasm comes out when you're on the water, when you're catching them, whether it's live, whether it's on YouTube, whatever. But it does, man. You strike me as just, when you're home, I keep up with you on Instagram. Dude, you're at Jordan. You're at Mitchell. You're on the Alabama River. You're trying to help Russ Lane. You're trying to help a senior citizen out sometimes. Help him get
Oh, God almighty. I need to call him. I was going to go in the morning and go catch someone on Lake Jordan. I thought about doing that. But,
but
dude,
you're obsessed,
I fish a lot. I
man.
do. Like, I'm going in the morning. I'm not filming tomorrow. I'm just waking up at daylight. My wife's got to get up and go. She's a kindergarten counselor. She gets up at 5 o'clock every morning. And I do too. And it's just like, dude, I live 3 minutes to the water. I don't live on the water, but I live really close. I can put in and go fish till 9 o'clock. I get a good shad spawn bite, and then I can go work around the house the rest of the day.
That's perfect.
Kind of starting that question out, dude, I've just always been, I'm just like you. I'm just like a lot of guys. I just love fishing. I've been consumed with it my whole life. It's just my obsession. I love it. If I don't go for a week, I feel freaking lost, man. I mean, I really do. Like, I've got to go. And, I fished around the house locally. I fished airport marine tournaments. I fished BFLs. And, you name it, I was fishing it, getting in it, weekend series. I fished at Alabama for 3 years. I then got out of college. I graduated, and I came home and I was like, I had this big masterful plan. Now, this is the quick story. I had a big masterful plan of, hey, man, I'm going to go pro. Let's go do this. Let's go make a run at it. Well, I went broke in 2014. And when I tell you, Luke, I went broke, dude, I didn't have $20 to my freaking name. Like, my brother had to pay my boat payment. Like, I went and worked at Academy. I was making $7 an hour. Now, this was when I was 24. Dude, it sucked. Like, it was bad. Not saying working at Academy is bad. I'm just saying, like, financially,
the dream was over.
It was
minute.
Done, dude.
On pause, anyways. Yeah.
And I was like, man, and you talking about a big pivotal moment in my life. I was like, all right, what are we going to do? How am I going to make this work? So then I went and worked construction. I had a college degree. I just couldn't get a job. Couldn't find one. I had a business degree, marketing, and
what everybody tells you, right?
Not
to cut you off, but what everybody tells you. You want to be a pro fisherman, get a marketing degree, right? You hear that a million times. Million times.
So I go and I work construction. on the road for, I don't know, I was gone, like gone for probably 10 months. And I didn't fish. I fished like 3 or 4 times during those 10 months. I didn't fish none. We worked 80-hour weeks. And that was with a guy named Danny. He gave me a job. But I came home and I got lucky. I got in that open down there on the river, and I got in the Alabama Bass Trails. I fished them, and the first tournament that I came home, I worked my butt off to try to win it, and I did. And we won an Alabama Bass Trail, and I put some money in my bank account. I think I put like $7,000 or $8,000 in there. And dude, at the time, I'm like, dude, this is great. I mean, you talking to somebody who ain't had nothing. I came from not much, and I put that money toward my opens, and I got into that open, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. But, you know, going back to that story, the best thing that ever happened to me was going broke and realizing, hey, this ain't gonna be easy, and you have to put 110% in at all times and never let the pedal off. Like, you cannot let off. And here we are today,
man. And that's I didn't know that. I didn't know that you completely just gave it up in 14 after college. I did not know that. I feel like that's a big part of the DC story that maybe a lot of people know. I did not know that. I thought I knew a lot about you coming up, because I remember Alabama Bass Trail, right?
Like kids all the time, and I'm like, man, I really, really wish. And I don't put myself above anybody else. I mean, dude, we've heard these same stories. Like Gerald's got them.
Yeah,
everybody's got them.
yeah,
Everybody's
there are a lot of them.
But and not saying. I mean, dude, I'm just saying, like, I'm very fortunate every day to get to go do this, and I know, like, I never forget where I come from, and I don't want to go back that route, but it just makes you realize, like, anybody can go and do this if you want to work hard enough. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I went all in. I just did. I went all in, and I was. Dude, I'd have took that $7,000 after that Alabama Bass Trail, and I'd have paid entries. And if I wouldn't have cashed a check, I'd have went and did it again, and I'd have done it again, and I'd have kept going. And I feel like for guys that do that, it's all or bust. You ain't 1 foot in or 1 foot out. It's all, you know.
And I think that's the cool part of that story is you did it with tournament winnings, because we hear so many times big pros say, well, you got to have sponsors, and you do, and you've got a great sponsorship, portfolio now, dude. I know you've got great brands you're working with. They back you, support you. I see you pushing them all the time. It's fantastic, but you did it with a rod and reel. And I think that's what a lot of kids, a lot of adults, they miss that point. They'll say, whether it was like the new Opens qualifications or whether it's going to the Toyotas, to go to the Invitationals, to go to the BPT, it's, well, I can't get off work, or I can't do this, or I can't afford it. And look, if you can't, that's fine. It's okay to just fish at home, right? I mean, it is. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to and you have the skill set, you can do it. You can do it as long as you are smart with your money when you win it, and you can do it. It's not and Gerald said it on here a couple weeks ago, man. It's, we put a lot of emphasis on college fishing, high school fishing now. You got to have $100,000 boat. You got to have forward-facing sonar. No, you don't. Not necessarily. Now, I will say, if you're going to compete against Dustin Connell and anybody on the BPT or Elite Series or any other tournament, you're probably going to want to learn forward-facing sonar at some point.
100%.
Yeah, you're going to want to learn it.
100%.
But
so it's all about your foundation.
Yeah, man.
Foundation is you going fishing and learning how to catch bass. And once you have that foundation set, then you kind of formulate a plan, like, how am I going to make this happen? My plan was to go make this happen, like, no matter what, going broke, getting whatever could happen. I was like, I'm determined. And dude, I wanted to go. I mean, dude, I talked to a kid the other day. He was 16, and I seen it in his eye, like he was gleaming, man.
Yeah.
He wanted it. He wanted this so bad. And I said, look, I was right there where you're at right now. I was obsessed with fishing. I didn't care about football, baseball. I didn't care about none of it. I'd go every day. I said, dude, I didn't qualify to go and fish professional till I was 27. I said, you got 11 years.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know, and that's 11 years of learning. And then he realized, like, hey, okay, there's a chance.
That's right. That's right, man. What would your advice be on that? Just fish as many events as you can get in, because I know I feel like that's what you did. You just got in as many things as you could afford. Is it made sense for you to get in locally, and you saw how you did there, then you kind of went regionally and worked your way up? Is that the the business model you would suggest?
I've been a firm believer in, I don't care if when I lose, I learn. So you go and you enter many tournaments you can, and I'm gonna tell you where my base started when I first really, really, really started to learn how to fish was on Tuesday and Thursday
Yes,
night.
sir.
Like, I'm going to fish a freaking Tuesday night or tomorrow, like this coming Tuesday
Yeah.
on Lake Mitchell with my brother. I'm going to fish. That's just what we're going to do. And I hope we win $140. It don't matter to me. I'm going tomorrow morning. I'm going to Tuesday night. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
do it for a living, but I do it because I love it. But go and fish as much as you can, because every time you go, you learn something. You learn. And even when you go and lose, you go fish the Alabama Bass Trails, you go down to Lake Eufaula, you go down there and fish brush piles, and even when you lose and you come in with 3 fish for 11 pounds, you're like, dang, dude, we messed up this morning. We probably should have went and caught 2 on a frog or something and just to fill our limit. Then we would have had like 18, 19 pounds. So next time you put that in a filing cabinet, you're like, all right, I know this. I've seen this before. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go let's freaking go.
Yes. No, I think experience, and I know you've ran around with veteran guys like a Russ Lane that have been around the country and back. They've seen it all. It's like me when I got to travel with Strader early on, or Noah and Gerald. What they can pull out of their Rolodex, go back in the filing cabinet and go. Especially Strader, he'd say, dude, we was here one time and the water was just like this, and it was, and he'd say, I need a 5/8 ounce jig because they were hitting it just like this because of this setup. And dude, he'd pull it out and it's like, donk, 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 and going, okay. But he learned from losing. Like, I love that statement. Learn from your losses. And I promise you, you do learn as much from them as you do the ones where you just beat everybody's teeth in and they bite every cast. Every time you pull up and pitch at every dock, you get a bite. No, I'm going to go fish this lay down. And it's just a magical week. You dang sure learn from the ones where you go, whoa. The ones that I always feel like I really dug into the most were the ones where you get back to the ramp and you thought it was really hard. And what you're saying, they're they're not biting.
They ain't gonna catch themselves.
But you said, or they're not biting. That's what.
Yeah, they're not biting. They're somewhere there. Just think of it like this: if you come into a tournament and big fish is a 5-pounder and someone weighs in 16 pounds, there's like 3 or 4 other big fish that are 4-pounders. I could have formulated a plan that day to catch a 20-pound bag because there was 5 over 4 pounds caught somewhere during that day.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch them. And I'm like, dadgummit, I dropped the ball, you know?
Yeah.
But I learned, my brother taught me how to fish when I was younger. And then I was, about 22, 23, 24. I got in a boat with Chris Rutland. Me and Chris fished local tournaments together some. I learned from him. And I went with several other guys that I learned, Clint Davis. I just, I learned here and there. And I just put all that together. And a perfect example, and I hate to talk your head off.
Nobody has.
A perfect example. I just want to get into the mind of the viewers and let them hear. I use this literally at Heavy Hitters in Louisiana. Just something simple as this. I remember getting in the boat with Chris Rutland one day, and you've heard of Chris. I mean,
he's
this weekend. A local guy. If you're not familiar with him, he's a great fisherman. And I was fishing on Lake Jordan with him one day, and we were swimming a jig. He's running a bank with a little bit of wind, and he had one roll on it. And and it was like a 3-pounder, and he missed it. Well, that was the only bank that had grass in that creek that had wind on it. Dude, he crunk up the motor, and he ran like 4 miles, 3 miles. And I'm like, what is he doing? He ran into a little area on a wind-blown bank, and he caught a 5-pounder. And he was like, dude, we're about to smash. And he knew exactly. He was like, all right, dude, they're on these little windy banks. Let me go swim a jig on this windy bank. He knew the exact bank to go, and he went and just freaking formulated a 5-pounder. He knew it was there, and he went and caught it. And I was like, holy crap.
Light bulb.
In that little bitty puzzle in his mind, the wheels was turning. So I was at Heavy Hitters the other day, and I had fished early on with a frog for like 45 minutes without a bite. And that wind started blowing a little bit. I went right back to a mat that I just threw in a while ago, and that wind started chopping on it. I caught a 3.5-pounder, and I was like, boom, and I thought of that.
That's
so
cool.
that instance, I went back into a filing cabinet, and I pulled it out, and I caught a 3.5-pounder. That's what we learn from.
Yes. And that's why time on the water can't be replaced. We say it all the time, but it is true. You hear it all the time. And I think younger anglers maybe think, it's just, I can watch YouTube and learn. No, you can't. You can learn the techniques. Dustin Connell can teach you what baits you might need to throw in certain situations, but until you see it yourself, it's very hard to catch other people's fish. It's very hard to go imitate what somebody's doing. You got to figure it out on your own. You may realize, I see what he's doing with that chatterbait. I see what Dustin's doing with that swim jig once you get out there on your own, but it's very hard to do it just from watching a video and go, we're going to go smash up 25 pounds because DC said, throw it this way. You know what I mean? Like, you got to learn on your own. There might be subtle little things you figure out for your body of water, whatever it is. But what a great teacher. Rutland is, for those low-lifers out there that are in Alabama, listen to this. Rutland's kicked your teeth in. If you're on the Coosa River, you're like, you might have muted this part. He just
he's one of the best guys I've been in the boat with. Other than Jacob. Jacob's phenomenal, and he's a freaking beast on every technique I can think of. But man, I still try to learn every day.
No doubt about it, dude. Is it as competitive as y'all make it seem between you and Jacob? I mean, y'all want to beat each other bad, right? Like, it's bad.
Oh, I'm gonna say this. Like, it's pretty bad. Like, he's by far one of my best friends. Like, I talk to him dang near every day. I talk to him today. But we're very competitive, like very, very competitive. And we stay in the same house. And when I tell you, like, there's a bunch of, I don't really know what you would call it. Gets very weird when somebody gets on them because they're like, I ain't telling nothing. I ain't saying I'm catching them on a swim jig. I ain't saying nothing because we're so competitive. Like, I want to win. I love beating Jacob 100%. It don't happen all the time, but when it does, it's like, yes, sir. At Cayuga last year, he was catching largemouth and I was catching smallmouth.
Yeah.
And I told him I was catching smallmouth, and he knew it, but he was respectful of what I was doing, and he went and did his deal, and he finished second. But that morning, he walked up to me and he said, I hope you win it. Because he kind of knew, like, hey, you're on something different. But we both pull for each other also. And
that's
same
cool.
with Mark and Adrian. We all pull for each other.
Yeah, it's a good group, man. That's a good group to run with. And the only problem I got with y'all, I'm just going to tell you this, is
shoot me straight.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot you straight. The only problem I got with you is that you just run around with that Justin Martin every now and then. And
I know it's
bad
gig, man. He's a bad.
He's just a bad. He's a terrible. I think as much of him as any human being I've ever met, and I love that y'all are. And y'all brought out. He's always like bass fishing, but I feel like y'all kind of brought out his love. It used to crack me up. Like early on the BPT, he'd be on his Instagram story. Ding, he's all about it, dude. He is. He's obsessed with it, and I think it's cool to see y'all and to get to be. I saw y'all were at Duck Commander. Hell, I saw you cheesing in the background of Uncle Si's birthday. I'm like, look at DC and Jacob.
That's awesome,
so
dude.
Cool,
that
man.
was an awesome experience. I ain't gonna lie, that was cool. And I will say this. And J Mart Justin is one of the best men I've ever met.
Yes.
He when I tell you he is as good as gold. My gracious. I wish everybody was like him. You know what I'm saying?
I get it, dude.
And he's just the most considerate person. we went over there, and I had never met Si or any of them. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And so it was cool, and that was an off day deal that we filmed, and it was just you know what I mean. It's just good. They're good people.
Yeah, y'all are surrounded by a lot of good people. Yeah, and that comes from being good people. You get to meet really cool folks along the way, man. But I think that Justin, that whole crew, they're just like you said. They're great. I got to spend and I would never tell him what an honor it was. Maybe I said it on the podcast and he might have listened, but I got to spend some time in a duck blind with him in
Oh,
January
did
with
you?
Express. I did, and in the duck woods, and got to stand next to him, standing in flooded timber. And I'll be honest with you, I was trying to keep my cool a little bit. You know, you got to act like you've been there before. But I'm not the biggest duck hunter in the world. I get to go maybe a couple times a year on some cool trip I get invited on. You know what I mean? We don't have. In southern Middle Tennessee, I don't get to shoot a lot of ducks. It's not something I got to do
Right.
growing up. You know,
It's about like Alabama
yeah,
wood duck hunting. It's kind of trashy.
yeah. I mean, there just ain't a lot of opportunities around here, and you got to go to Arkansas to do it. And I just, don't get to do that a lot. But getting to hunt a couple days with him and share stories, man. And I've known him for quite a while now, but that was right up there for me, man. Like it was, and my kids, especially my oldest, he's 15 now. He was obsessed. Duck Dynasty was our deal, man. We always watch it together, and so whenever they put the Duck Commander on Duck Commander's YouTube channel, our hunt up, listen, I might as well be Garth Brooks at my house to my 15-year-old now that I've been.
Oh yeah, you're the man.
I'm like, he's like, forget all the fishermen he's got to meet, whatever. He's like, Dad, basically, I'm a Duck Commander now, so no big deal.
Yeah.
No
no
big.
doubt.
All right, dude. I want to before I let you go, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you doing it. It's I'm glad we got to do this. It's been I've had you on my list for a long time, and it's not worked out until today. And man, I just appreciate you so much. I appreciate what you do in the sport. But I want to get what's your overwhelming feeling about Guntersville going in? I mean,
man, I feel great about Guntersville. This is I could go on a rant or a subject about this too.
Let's go.
Guntersville is a great lake. It's
Yes.
phenomenal. And I kind of went on a rampage the other day on the phone about these things, but Guntersville is great. Okay, Lake Fork is great, but dude, the fishing pressure,
It's
oh my
brutal.
gosh, and that's a great thing. There's more people on the water nowadays than ever, and it's so good. And I
But
love that. But buddy, it makes it tough to
Yes,
go
sir.
fish a 6-day event whenever. It's just a high profile lake with a
Yes.
lot of fishermen on it. And
Yes.
we're going at a time of year where the fish probably going to be starting to slide out a little bit. And all I can say is you better make sure that nobody sees you sitting somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and dude,
Because it's going to be fairly tough to getting back on it.
listen,
So
our,
that's going to be a unique tournament. That tournament could easily be won offshore, and traditionally 8, 10, 12, 15 years ago, it would be blowed away offshore. But now it's like, I don't really know. Like somebody could win it on docks now. Who knows?
yeah, you're right. There's so many. I mean, I'm 39 years old. I can remember before my dad was always an offshore guy, way before electronics. Old paper map, dragging a daggum Carolina rig, finding places. And we fished out a lot in the summer on Pickwick, and didn't know what we were doing, but we caught fish. But we did that a lot when it got hot, and the pressure wasn't there then. And so when you found them, And now everybody knows to look. Everybody's great at catching them when they do find them, and not to mention just your U80 guys. But like you said, the Guntersville just put a star by it that time of year. People are taking their vacations to go. And listen, folks, whether they're from out of state or them Alabama boys and Tennessee boys, that from around the areas that we fish a lot, they can be a little ruthless sometimes when it comes
hey, I'm gonna tell you, them boys, they don't play. If
No.
they're on a place, it don't matter. See, here's my thing. I've got 2 or 3 ways of thinking about it. Number one, I 100% do not blame anybody that works freaking hard all week. They work their work week, and on Saturday they want to go fish, and they're going to pull up and they're going to go catch some.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Number two, buddy, don't think that somebody don't see you really want in when you leave. They going over there.
Of course.
100%. It happened at Lake Murray. I love them. I had one guy, and I don't blame him one bit, dude. But I had a guy. This is a good funny story. I'm sitting on a place, and the herring, they were blowing up on herring and whatnot, and I had just caught one. Well, I had just slid into the cut, and I was like, all right, I need to leave these alone. So I idled away, and a guy that was watching me idled over and started train wrecking them. I said, oh, my God.
And you could still see him? He was catching them when you were watching him?
Yeah, he went up,
no.
as soon as I idled away,
no.
I was, intentionally leaving them.
Yeah.
And the guy had been following me for, 2 or 3, I don't know, maybe an hour. And when they started blowing up, he picked a rod up, and I seen him catch 2 big ones, and I was like, oh, no.
You said, please, no.
And then the knockout round, I didn't catch nothing, so I got to blame it on that guy.
Yeah, let's blame it on him, because I was going to say now, in the knockout round, because you was fast and furious in them first 2 days. It went
Dude, that's
down.
what I'm saying. We have a different. It's
different
kind of
deal.
a different dynamic in our tournaments. They're 6 days long, and
mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to play that into strategy, man. I mean, if you go out there on day one and you got a camera, or if you get seen whacking them on a place that ain't nobody been sitting on, it ain't going to be there on Saturday. It will not.
Yeah, I agree.
Before you know it, Luke, you'll be fishing brim beds in the back of Seabold.
You'll be a Nickajack.
You'll be throwing a shaky head in Spring Creek on the docks.
The bluff. You gonna be on the bluffs down at Paint Creek or whatever.
You'll be sitting down there on one of them bluffs near the dam, catch a spotted bass before you know it.
Wishing it was every fish counted.
Yeah, ain't no doubt.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Well, dude, I'm gonna try to come over and see y'all when y'all are over there. Maybe bring some podcast gear, so I'll holler at y'all if I do.
Yeah. We may try to slide you in.
Choo-choo.
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great tournament. I am ready for these bass to get off the bank. I'm sick of spawn fishing. I'm done with it. I'm an anti-spawn guy. I can't stand beating the bank, so I'm excited to hopefully maybe get deeper than 5 foot. It's gonna be great.
Get after them out there, out there in them outer depths. Dude, I appreciate you so much. Good luck the rest of the year, and I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you. Dustin Connell, everybody, right there. Dude, he is he's one of a kind, and like I said, just a bright spot in this industry. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. I can't thank him enough. I can't thank the W Sauce enough for bringing you those interviews. And yeah, man, another week, another low budget live in the books. I appreciate y'all more than you'll ever know. It's very cool. When I was sitting at that Arkansas Game and Fish Foundation tournament, I'm standing on stage. I'm getting to cut up. I'm getting to be me, and you don't always get that in life. And I think, and what I mean by that is whether it's your regular 9 to 5, whatever you do, sometimes you kind of get put in a box, or you don't get to be yourself. And I'm very fortunate. For a long time in my life, I didn't get to show whether it's my personality or really dig into who I am. And I get to do that now. And I've got to be that and do that for many years now. And it's all because of the low lifers. And I can't thank y'all enough. So going to take you out this week. Let's see, what song we're taking you out with this week? Let's take you out with some One-Sided Goodbye from the 64 album. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. I will see y'all next week. See? This is kind of a sad song, but I dig it.
She was all I ever wanted for 15 years. Right up till that Friday, and it all went downhill. She left without a warning, not even a goodbye. No sitting around watching fading until